times we get so head up about an issue which is really our issue, our injury, our sin. And almost everybody on earth during the COVID crisis sinned more.
Not less.
Not less, more. And even those of you who didn't take the vaccine sinned more. Because you had all these emotions, that anger and frustration and rage about being controlled and rage about being manipulated by the system, of which, by the way, you are a part, right? And you are a part of it because of the rage and because of the fear and because of the lack of desire to feel your own grief. That's why you're a part of it. And this is what I'm saying to people, is that unless that changes, unless you can start to be more responsible for your fear and more responsible for your grief and more responsible for your rage, you are contributing, no matter what your philosophy of life, you are contributing to the problems on earth. And it doesn't matter whether you believe you are or not, you are. Any unloving emotion in you contributes to the unloving emotions that are on earth. Any one of them. And it doesn't matter what philosophy, what belief you have, if you have emotions stored in you that are unloving, they are contributing to the damage to the earth. And you often believe, and this is what I notice in the West in particular, often believe your own life is righteous, and it is far from it. Far from it, because we are not respecting the law. We are not respecting that we are personally responsible to bring more love to the world, not to contribute to its fear, and not to contribute to its anger, not to contribute to its shame and guilt and all the other feelings that we see going on around the world. But our responsibility is to contribute in love to the world. And that's the responsibility God will demand of you through the law. And this is why many people on earth think they lived a very good life on earth, think they lived a fantastic, they were righteous and they were good, and then they arrive in the hells of the spirit world completely shocked. Because all of their definitions of what was righteous and good were so opposite God's standards of love. They were different to God's standards. And what I'm trying to share with you now is how different they are. Like, they are so different to God's standards, and most of us have no idea they are at all, because we think that our definition of love, what we righteously have accepted in ourselves, is God's standard, because fundamentally we believe we are God and have the right to establish our own ideas and laws and so forth. Right? So very dangerous to do these things. And when a group of people decide, I am going to fight one thing or condemn another thing, or, whenever you're doing that, you've got to look more closely at your motivations, because your motivations will be primarily selfish and therefore unloving. And for when your own life or death is involved, or the life or death of your own children is involved, that's when you get the most selfish and the most unloving for the most part. And this is something that we need to address, because all people on earth need to come to a stage where we go, if I am in a state of fear and I am in a state of rage and I'm in a state of condemning other groups or whatever, rather than just focusing on what is true and what is false, then all I'm doing is contributing to why we have our problems here on this planet. That's all we're doing. Come over.
If you look like there's a lot going on in the world right now, let's say,
Yep.
if you look like especially in politics,
Yep.
there are a lot of politicians in my eyes just don't make actions or decide over all of us and over the world, in not a loving way, I'd say. And for me, it's really hard to just watch it happen. Is there anything we can do to to do, can we do anything about it, or just
Right.
watch it, do the best part we can do?
Well, for a start, we've got to stop blaming them.
Yeah.
All right? The reason why we've got to stop blaming them is that somehow they got into power. How did that happen? At some point, groups of people supported them, whether they're a dictator or whether they're in a democracy or whether they're, some person who did a military junta or whatever. Somebody supported them. Some unloving person has supported them getting into power. They are also only primarily, what they're doing with their life is primarily responding to my addictions. Right? That's what they're responding to. They know that if they give you your addictions, you'll vote for them. If they don't, you won't. Right? And now you say, but I didn't vote for them, but they gave enough addictions to a group of people who did. That's how they got in power, by giving people what they want, is how they got in power. Now, obviously, not a very good way to run the world, because a lot of what people want is very damaging to the world. But you can't blame them for meeting your addictions when you still want your addictions. It's like, if you think about ethics and morality, it's one of the most unethical things you can do to blame another person for meeting what you wanted them to meet in the first place. Now, when I say meet your addictions, everyone here has addictions that are unloving, right? And you do want them, you want everybody around you to meet them, and that includes them. And they have learned, over years now, they've learned the more people they can meet the addictions of, the higher likelihood they're going to get in power. So they've learnt this now. Well, politicians have learnt this now. This is why the average politician is all about modifying the story they tell you and telling you a story to meet your addictions. Now, it might not be just your addictions, of course. It could be other people's addictions too. So the real question then becomes, who is to blame for that?
All of us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that the mic just went off actually.
It does
Yeah,
sound like it.
the battery is,
Yeah,
I think the battery
fine.
died.
battery is down.
It's fine. So
Sorry
the
about that.
question was, whose fault is it?
Whose
Yeah.
fault is it?
Yeah, probably involves mine was, but isn't there anything else I can do than just work on myself? Because I feel like it's just, I'm working on myself, okay, and that's it. Is there anything else I can do?
Of course there's other things you can do than just work on yourself. But let's look at it firstly ethically. There is a must that the very first thing you do is work on yourself. Because if you do anything else, you're a hypocrite. You're trying to help other people and you're not working on yourself. You're trying to get them to change, but you're not changing you. So any other course of action is hypocrisy. So the very first thing we've got to learn to do is not be hypocrites. We need to work on ourselves first. That needs to be my priority. Now, as I work on myself, my condition of love will change. As my condition of love changes, I get inspiration about how I can express that love to others. In the process of expressing that love, I'll be able to make other people make changes. I'll be able to help them make changes. Not make them, but help them make changes. In addition, anybody that needs help, I would gladly give them the help for free. I would do it because I love them, not for any reward, not for any social media, 5,000 followers on YouTube, or any of those reasons that are mostly driving people today to help anybody, but rather because I just care about them and I want to help. The love in me will dictate that. Now, can you see? That's all you have the power to do. You don't have the power to do anything else, because if you did anything else, you'd probably be pushing their will, which is against the law of free will. They need to make the same choices at some point, but you can't force it on them. So any other course of action other than firstly changing yourself and then giving the gift of your love to another, any other course of action is out of harmony with free will and out of harmony with love. So protesting, out of harmony with free will and love. Because I'm not just changing myself first, I'm living in my fears and my addictions first, And then on top of that, I'm trying to force other people to accept what I think, which is actually forcing their will, which is actually against love. So I've actually broken not only the laws of self-responsibility, I am being a hypocrite, and on top of that, I'm also breaking the law of free will, so therefore I'm treating other people badly in an unloving manner. So the only thing you can do is change yourself first, and then give the gift of that love that you've developed to others, without forcing them to receive it, and without forcing them to change their mind. Just present and let them be.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't know.
It doesn't feel enough?
No, yeah, like if we don't do anything, the politicians will think it's okay what they're doing.
I'm not
or
suggesting not do nothing though, am I?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I'm suggesting that if you share your love with people, sooner or later other people will recognise that is love, and they will then want to learn what love you had and what you learned, and then in doing that they will become more loving, and eventually that sort of grows. And I've actually found it's sort of like a wildfire, you know, get started with a spark. You could say the spark could be your desire to love is the spark. And then around you what happens is a fire gets going, where that desire in yours to love turns into other people's being affected by your desire, to the point where they also have a desire to love in the same manner. And then as that momentum grows, so will changes grow. There is no other actual way. Now, in the process of you sharing your love, you can get on the net and do some website and share your love that way, but love is a personal thing. Like, it's going to have to be face to face at some point, not just on the net, or, you know, get on social media and have 5,000 followers or 50,000 followers, but rather actually, do any of those people feel loved by you is the real question. And if they can start to feel what love feels like, now there's a chance for them to want it themselves, right? So the key thing is to go, okay, my responsibility for my life now is to love others with all the love I can muster. And if I can't muster very much, then do more to work through my own things so I can love people more. That's what needs to happen. And if that doesn't occur, the reality is the earth is just going to, by 50 years' time, half of it's going to be uninhabitable. Right? By the time you have children, and by the time they're thinking of having children, half the earth's going to be uninhabitable unless we all learn how to love. Right? But the problem is when you're angry and you're fearful, that's not love. When you're upset and bitter and twisted and you've got all your pet peeves, that's not love either. None of that's love. And that's why, for the most part, people can get on the media, get on this and rant and rave, you know. The third thing is act in harmony with the love you have. So what I see people doing is this. They go, I'm really upset about the environment, let's say. So I'm going to get on my social media, say how upset about the environment I am. Right? And then I'm going to, in the social media, I'm going to connect with as many people as I can and influence them. I'm going to become an influencer. And connect with as many people as I can, showing them how unloving everything is happening on the earth towards the environment. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up in front of politicians. I'm going to say, you politicians, you're not doing the right thing here. You have done, you know, you're damaging the environment. And I get in front of people and say, you adults, you know, so let's say I'm a young person and I go, you adults are ruining the world for me. You know, get off your backsides and do something about it. And all I'm doing is traveling around the world ranting at people. And there's actually a person that did this a few years ago, right?
Yes.
A girl who did this from Denmark, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's still doing it.
Everybody thought it was great. I'm sorry, she's not great. From God's perspective, she's actually a hypocrite. Because how much of it did she want to do? See, this is the trouble, this is what we notice in God's way. We get people come along and say they want to help the environment. But they pick up a spade, what's a spade? Dig a hole, what's a hole? Like literally, they've never dug a hole to plant a plant their entire life. Their entire life. They've never grown a vegetable their entire life. They've never planted a fruit tree their entire life. They've never repaired the environment their entire life. They've never looked after a native animal their entire life. Right? Now, they're also saying, oh, I'm passionate about the environment. Oh, I don't see that. That's not passion, that's criticism. You know?
I got it, yeah.
Yeah. Passion is, I want to be involved fixing it. I want to do something myself. I want to learn. I want to improve it. I want to understand what's going on, why it's happening, what's going on with the economy and what's going on with food and what's going on with resources and everything that's causing this damage. I want to develop methods that I can share, you know, and there's all sorts of methods of sharing nowadays, but I want to share what those methods are with the world to show them I did this over 20 years and here was the improvement. Can you see the improvement? This is what we all need to start doing, that kind of thing. This is positive because it provides solutions. It doesn't just criticize the system, it says the solution to the system is here. I've done the homework. I've created the effort. So I'm not saying there's no effort. I'm saying when you love, you put your whole life into it. That's what Mary and I do. Our whole life is involved in going around teaching people for free. When you're passionate about something, that's what you do. And you don't care whether people agree with you or don't agree with you. You don't care whether you've got 50,000 followers on YouTube or whatever. You don't care about those things because all that matters is if you're loving and you're doing your utmost in your passion to share. And if you do that, you won't feel like it's a waste of time. Because even if everybody else says it's a waste of time, your love in you will drive you into feeling that it is not a waste of time. You know that you're doing the right thing and you know you're being loving and doing it. So that's like that's what we need to do in passion, yeah, with desire. And that's something that I don't see in people. I see them criticizing everybody else. But I don't see them coming up with solutions. I don't see them passionate about those solutions. I don't see them sharing the solutions. And all I see oftentimes is them attacking other people for not doing their solution, right? Which is not also the way to go. It's one thing to say the truth, but you don't have to attack people. You don't have to pull them down. You don't have to criticize their whole lives. You just need to say, this is the truth. This is going to harm you this way or benefit you this way. You know, the false would harm you this way. The truth will benefit you this way. That's all we need to do. And if enough of us do it, there would be definite changes.
And I would go as far as to say without enough of us doing it, there won't be any permanent changes. There won't be any permanent solutions.
Thank you.
Now, this is the last question.
It's good because I want to zoom out a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Just hold it.
Just hold it close, like, yeah.
So to go back to, we were all born and created perfect.
Yes.
Like God.
Yes.
And then you said that why being in the womb and then after the children are sort of decaying down the spheres down to earth.
Yep.
And then we have to make our way up again.
Yep.
And so my question is why did God create it that way? Why is this happening? Is this his kind of experiment or game, or why is this happening instead of just being us all in the sixth sphere all the time?
Can you hear who you're blaming?
I am. I was very touched, and I know I'm blaming God,
Yes.
and I get really.
Is God responsible for people's decisions?
And that's my question. Yeah.
What does God feel? So ask God. Is God responsible? Are you responsible for someone else's decision? Can you answer that?
No,
No,
I
that
mean,
close with the mic. You need to go closer. Hold the mic.
why he gave us free will.
Because without giving you free will, you wouldn't know yourself, you wouldn't understand yourself, you wouldn't be able to grow, you wouldn't be able to change, you wouldn't be able to make choices, you wouldn't be self-aware. Free will is all about those things. It's the way you enjoy life. Without the gift of free will, you would have no enjoyment in life. You'd be like a robot just following
So
the leader.
he gave it out of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what have we done?
Yeah.
So God gifted us with free will. Right? He gifted us with this beautiful gift, very powerful gift, beautiful gift. Along with this free will comes self-awareness, self-knowledge, the ability to make choices and decisions, the ability to enjoy things, the ability to understand things. All of these beautiful things flowed on from this gift of free will. He gave us this gift, and it's like giving us a knife. You can use it to stab yourself, you can use it to stab someone else, or you can use it to cut up some veggies. You know what I mean? So you can use it for a good purpose, or you can use it for a very bad one. And so what did we do in our sin? We decided to use our free will to sin. And then we say, God shouldn't have given us free will. Isn't the better thing to say, we shouldn't have sinned? You see my point? Isn't the better thing to tell ourselves that we shouldn't sin, rather than say we shouldn't have free will? Like if God took away your free will, you wouldn't even know yourself. You wouldn't even understand you could make a choice. You wouldn't even know, you wouldn't be self-aware. If he took away that, all of your joy in life and you'd become a robot, literally a robot, like an animal. You'd become like an animal, unself-aware. You know, just live and die, live and die, live and die. That's what you'd become. So if God took away that, he also would then take away all these beautiful things. So he can't take away that. We need to take away this, because we created it. Humans created sin, and we need to stop creating it.
And if we go back to Marin's question, we have the potential to do that in a generation.
Yeah, one generation is
One
possible.
generation on earth
Yeah.
could see sin,
With
and
education
their
and
children
knowledge,
would be born into this world in the sixth year,
sinless.
sinless.
That's the potential.
And it's totally possible. And God isn't feeling amused about our sin. God isn't feeling good about our sin. God is feeling this is pain, unnecessary pain and suffering for my
Unnecessary, yeah.
children. But I can't interfere with their use of free will. I want them to understand how powerful that gift is. But as soon as we start to use our free will in harmony with God's laws and God's love, there are immense rewards, and there is potential to change things. It's just that most of us ask this question because we feel so condemned by our own sin, if you like. We think, oh, we can never get out of it. We can never cease sinning, is really the corrupt faith that we have inside
And
of us.
also there's another corrupt faith that says, if my parents taught me to sin, then I'm going to always sin. And that's not true either.
I think it's inevitable that sin will continue.
Yeah.
But it's not.
You can make a decision to not sin, and you can do it independent of how you were taught. And all of us can make that decision. And I think that's a good place probably to leave our discussion, right? Because all of us have the option to use our free will to embrace God's standards of love, or we have the option to continue our sin. And that is fundamentally a decision that faces every single individual on the planet. And if you're really responsible, you will start saying to yourself, I need to take responsibility for my sin. I need to see it. I need to become aware of it. I need to be aware of what is causing it. I need to know everything about it so I can get rid of it from me. And God's not going to rub it out for you. And this is why people think, you know, I'm saying I'm Jesus, I'm going to do some magical thing on you. Like hocus pocus magic, you know, that all of a sudden you're not going to be a sinner anymore. No, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And also, God doesn't want me to do it. He wants you to be, every one of you, to be responsible for your own sin, right? So it actually, even if I could do it, would be wrong anyway to do. God could do it, but he decides not to do it because if humans created sin, humans must take responsibility for the destruction of sin. They must take responsibility of getting rid of it. So a part of God's standards of love is deciding for yourself, are you going to take responsibility for getting rid of sin? Your sin. Start with yours, because you can't change anybody else's. You can only change yours.
The difficulty is at this point not knowing.
What?
Still, because I was not educated in this matter at all.
Correct. Well, that's true. But the reality is everybody on earth wasn't. And the reality also is, well, you can be. If you have desire, you can be. So again, it's about, do we have a strong enough desire to go, okay, I was not educated, nothing I can do about that. I now know that this is my way forward. If I really believe this is my way forward, I can educate myself. I can educate myself about what sin is, and I can educate myself about what love is. So wouldn't that be the wisest choice to make, even if you didn't know? It's okay that you didn't know. What's not okay is when you know, you do nothing. Isn't it? Yeah. All right, well, I think we'll leave it there, eh?
Thank you very much.
You haven't seen me get riled up yet, right? So,
Well, now you have.
well, no, you really haven't yet. Not really. There are so many problems on this planet that are driven by being out of harmony with God's standards of love. And most of us have hardly any awareness at all of how severe the problems are, and also how much we just overlook them and we try to solve them physically through taking action. We decide to be proactive. We decide to make decisions to affect the world, or we just criticize the world. We think that's the way to go. But at the end of the day, we are not personally embracing God's standards of love when we do these things. So I'd encourage you guys to think about what we've presented and to embrace some of those standards, and then put it into practice in your own life. See how it feels. Take it for a test drive in your life, and see how it feels, and then see what you do as a result of it. Because you'll find you will change, and if you change, then people around you will change. It's natural that they will. All right, well, Mary and I have to pack up and everything after the talk today, so we'll probably be doing that. So we're not going to be able to talk to you while we're packing up, because otherwise we forget where we put everything for the next event. And so this is our last opportunity to say thank you for your participation.
Yes, thank you.
And it was a joy, particularly today and yesterday. It's been a joy to actually have that sort of discussion about all sorts of matters. Weren't they 5 or 6 different matters? And I really enjoyed your participation in that. And also, thanks for coming, because without an audience, Mary and I would have to sit at home and, well, we'd actually talk to a bunch of spirits, to be honest. But that's what we're doing. But having an audience on earth as well as a spirit audience, it helps us a lot to share the truth on earth as well as in the spirit world.
And can I say,
It's very
your level of openness today really helped our spirit friends to help spirits who wanted help, who were attracted. They're quite interested in you on earth because they relate to your experiences.
Yeah.
And then as we talk to you guys, those spirits can be helped by our spirit friends in the spirit
So the
world.
last 2 days, there were a lot more spirits helped than anybody here on earth, of millions. And also, last week, there was not a single spirit helped in the last group last week. Not a single one. So it's been great to have some
And
more openness this week.
Yeah, you're a part of that. Your
Yeah.
openness, your engagement really helps with that. So we do thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I know our spirit friends do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
No worries. Now, in terms of where this will be online, if you want to listen to it again, obviously it'll eventually be on our website, on the divinetruth.com website. Obviously it's not going to be until Mary and I get back to Australia sometime probably. The recording that you're done here today, I think you're editing, aren't you?
But it may take a
But
while.
it may take a
Yeah.
while, a few weeks or maybe a month or so.
So it will be on. So if you would like to see the video, it will be on different place. There is one website called Exposure.
What was the the ones that were organised.
Yeah, actually, there's better ones than that one.
That are sort of organised in
Yeah.
part number sequence.
I tell you what,
Yeah.
we have a kind of a blog. It's the address for it is mary.divinetruth.com. What I'm going to do is put a posting there that can be up while we're away that says where you can access different talks and different recordings.
Easier.
That'll be better, won't it? So we don't have to.
Yeah.
Also, that's where, if we can't update our website, the latest things we're doing are on Mary's site. So on
It's
her
really
blog.
outside, but
It's
yes.
really our site.
I write the
Mary
Yes.
does most of the writing on
Yeah.
that side. So if you want to keep up to date with where we are, what we're doing, it's that site that is sometimes more up to date than our website.
Yeah, you can subscribe there, and so you get an email when we do an update,
Yeah.
basically. So,
So
if you
that's-
want to stay up to date,
Mary.divinetruth.com.
Yeah.
We'd also, Mary and I would like to thank you for your donations. There's a donation box out the front, and you can also donate at donate.divinetruth.com. Your donations just help us keep on sharing the same things with other people. So if you don't like what we said, then I suggest you don't donate.
because we're going to say it more if
Because we're
you
gonna
give us
say it more.
donations. So, we're good.
And if you do like what we've done, then feel free to donate. That'd be lovely. And we appreciate your donations very much. Mary and I live off of donations. We don't actually. This is our entire life. We just live off the gift. We give people gifts, and people give us gifts, and that's how we live. And so the donations that support us living as well as travelling and sharing with people all over the world as well. So we'd like to thank you for your donations, those of you who feel inclined to do that. Thank you for your time, guys.
Yeah,
Good to
thanks,
meet
everybody.
many of you for the first time.
And if you want some help with anything up there?
Yes, do you
Yeah.
need some help?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, anybody would like to stay and
Yeah.
help Yvette tidy up, there's a fair bit of tidy up to do.
Yep.
Um,
That will make
That-
her
her
job
life a lot easier.
easier.
Her
You
and
get
his
it
life.
done in 10 minutes, what might take her 2 hours. or
Yeah,
something.
that's right.
So-
Yeah, so if anyone can do that, stay and help, that'd be good. Mary and I are going to focus on tidying up our mess inside.